Boris Todbringer.
Excuse me? I think you'll find that that is
fucking Toddy!
So yesterday I talked about the Boris campaign and all the details of it and the units and such. Today, I'm just gonna play the campaign, all 10 turns of the Gamescom demo that I can anyway. And we're gonna juice the campaign out of its mind as well. Legendary difficulty, very hard battles, anti-player bias all the way up, AI stats modifier all the way up. Let's go! So Boris of course starts in the merry old land of Midland with legendary hero Emil Valgeir at his disposal. Got a bunch of the new Cult of Ulrich units, gonna dive into the first battle and we're gonna fight this one. There are some rat ogres to deal with, which my cannons have done a terrible job of damaging before they arrive, so Boris and Emil are going to get in their face. I'm mostly playing on the defensive, letting my cannons do some work before the enemy arrives, setting my cav up to flank around and get after those missiles. And most of our units, our warriors of Ulrich and such, should do pretty well against the lightly armoured crappy Skaven. It's pretty much their speciality to munch through light infantry. I do have the big boy Toddy guard in this army as well, which the Skaven can do pretty much nothing about. And sneak in a Wolfie Phallus through here to stick it in the back of the rats. What? I can't show you that up close. This is a fucking family channel, so we'll look over here where there's some horses sticking it in the back of rats. Brilliant. Okay, over here, the menace below has caught me out. I did have a unit defending my artillery, but I moved them on, and now I've paid the price, but they've survived. And eventually we're going to get there, given the stat boosts. The enemy does hold on longer than they should. So, first rat army defeated, not too much damage apart from the artillery. We'll then push on to Viceland, one of the settlements in our Midland province. And it's a pretty boring Skaven army, no lord, no rat ogres, nothing fun. We're just going to auto-resolve this one. End of turn 1, we're going to recruit a couple of extra warriors of Ulrich and some archers as well. But yeah, these early Cult of Ulrich units are pretty nice for the early game Empire. Good damage dealing potential, bonus versus infantry. As long as it's against unarmored targets, they'll do pretty well. Although with the Wolfkin, they do have armor piercing, so they could be useful against the heavier factions as well. Over the next turn, we're going to move towards the final settlement in this region, Midenstag. We're going to push onto this without scouting, so it's a bit risky, and we do find that there is a Skaven army set there as well as the garrison, so we are severely outnumbered here, but it's only crappy rats, right? We can do this, surely. I do check out the map to see what I could possibly do with it, and we've actually got a nice little choke point here we can make use of, which could be invaluable. So, let's go. So I'm setting up in the choke point, trying to get my cannon to just blast a few shots on the enemy. As they're on the defensive, they're not moving, so we're going to have to shoot them to make them come to us. And eventually they do start marching on us. They've got quite a few missiles back there. They're coming at us from all angles. There is some water they're going to have to run through, so that buys us a little firing time. So just going to try and hold the line, grind the Skaven down, use Boris and Emil to break some charges here to beat them down, and then we can countercharge them with our boys. Over the right side, there is a bit more coming than I'd like, so I'm going to send the big boy Toddy guard over there. They should be able to handle all of it. And just getting onto my counter charges now, because these warriors of Ulrich, they aren't too tough. They're not going to take charges well. Even if they're only charges from crappy Skaven, it's better to avoid them. Mostly holding up just fine so far. This choke point proving invaluable. My cav flanking around the back to get the missiles. Trying to line up some shots with my artillery, but it's a bit of an awkward angle to shoot over my boys, so not really any great shots. Trying to hit those missiles at the back. Maybe I can hit those on slightly higher ground. And aiming at those, I noticed that there's 4 units of bundled up missiles, so I send in the cavalry to get all over those. They're a melee cavalry, so they're perfect for dealing with this little crowd. Over on the left side of my front line, I've got the Wolfkin involved. They're nice armor-piercing damage dealers. They've chewed through this left side, so now we can start to flank around on the other parts in the center here. And we're holding together and slowly but surely wearing the rats down. Our heavily armoured units being especially useful here as well, the cavalry, the Toddy guard, Boris and Emil, because these Skaven don't really have a lot they can do about armour. And now because the enemy is fairly beaten down, their leadership is going to be on the low side, so we're going to try and take advantage of that with as many flanking attacks as we can, getting those attacked in the rear penalties with the cavalry, hammer and anvil. I'm trying to use my artillery on the blobs as well, because that will give leadership penalties. Trying to finish the rats off by making them run away, rather than having to grind through every single rat. And eventually we do get the center pretty much clear of all the rats. They've run away now. We flanked the most of them out of existence. Just a blob in the forest still to deal with. So I flank my Knights of the White Wolf round to hit them with a big rear charge. And that is all she wrote. So with that, Midenstag is now ours and the province is complete. But oh scheisse, it's the Beastmen now as the Drakwold threat is activated. So this is one of Boris's mechanics. You're going to have little Beastmen invasions every now and again. If you don't do anything about them, they get worse. Eventually you'll fight Kazarak. That's the mechanic. Boris's other main mechanic is this, the Great Temple of Ulrich. You're going to be using the fervor currency, which you'll get from battles and missions and all sorts of stuff. And that's what you use to pay for these upgrades, which will give you a bunch of different buffs in a bunch of different ways. So fairly simple standard campaign mechanics for Boris, nothing too crazy. You can upgrade these as you get more fervor as well. There is other stuff to spend the fervor on too, so pretty simple, but fun enough. On to turn 6 and we get a dilemma pop up. A raided hamlet the Beastmen have struck. We've got a chance to find one of their armies here. So, by Ulrich, we're going to take it. And we're going to seek vengeance, finding the army. We've got a witch hunter recruited randomly as well. Very nice. Extra hero for the army. There are some unique landmark buildings in this province as well. There's one in Midenstag. That's going to give you all of your Cult of Ulrich units just one tier sooner. So some of them are tier 4, but you can get them at tier 3, for example. So that's always nice to get some of the stronger units earlier. There's also a unique building just for the hunting hounds. Another new unit for the Empire. That'll give them some buffs and make them a bit cheaper. There's another landmark in Karabberg as well. This one will give you the Knights Panther Cavalry at level 2, which is very nice. They're an anti-large cavalry, pretty much Reichsguard with an anti-large bonus. Anyway, back to the murdering. We found the Beastmen army. We're going to try and chase them down now. They're going to do a runner, but we're going to catch them because goats can't run that fast. And then we're going to do some stuff to them, mostly poking holes in them with pointy things. And I do try to use as few units as possible to do this, but my cav messed up their charge on some dogs and couldn't even beat those up, so eventually I just had to get everyone in there. But with that, we've saved the forest a little bit from the Beastmen threat, hopefully. And then over the turn, the strangest thing happened. Some elves thought they could talk to me and get non-aggression. Non-aggression with me! Elves! Clearly they don't know that elf aggression is my middle name. They don't call me Zerk, elf aggression, Zerkington for nothing. Oh fuck, I doxed myself. No, after shitting in the face of some elves. I was going to say spitting, but I accidentally said shitting. I guess that works too. After shitting in the face of some elves, I'm going after Festus next because I want a big target to finish. I want to go for Brass Keep. There's an army there. It's a tall order. Can it be done? We're going to find out. We've only got 2 turns left. So I'm making moves towards Brass Keep, and then the army there decides to leave and goes to the nearby other settlement, leaving Brass Keep. Ours for the taking, potentially. And now here we are, turn 10, the last turn of this demo before it cuts me off, and luckily we can make it to Brass Keep, and we're going for it. It's got a big old 17 garrison though, so this is going to be, as I said, a tall order. Because the garrison army here is actually no joke either. I think if that army had stayed there, we have no hope of doing this. But we've got a chance here. There's trolls, there's chaos warriors, but we've got one thing they don't.
Fucking Toddy!
Now I'm going to start this siege the way every great siege in history started, with dogs chewing through the gates. And I'm going to take my time here. My army is sat back out the way. I've got my cannon taking down the walls, maybe a tower, while my 3 units of dogs deal with all of the gates, pretty much. And eventually, I'm going to start moving my army towards the walls to try and get in the gates, get in the holes wherever possible. I'm not entirely sure of my plan of attack here. I'm just kind of seeing how the AI is. They've got a bunch of stuff down this end of the settlement because of my dogs, so that's buying us a little bit of room. Eventually, as there's not too many enemies by this gate, I'm going to rush my entire army through this one gate. Even though I spent like 10 minutes putting holes in the walls, I've got some of my faster units in there, but I start getting overwhelmed pretty quickly by all the units that descend on me. The 2 units of trolls are especially a worry. My cav's a bit trapped. I've gone in a little too deep here. And so eventually I decide to fall back into this little alleyway, this choke point here that I can use. I can get my missiles hopefully up on the walls and they can shoot down on everything in that choke point. That's the plan. There are some chaos warriors up on the walls though, giving us trouble. I'm going to get my Toddy guard up there eventually to deal with them. They should armor pierce their way through them. They do have armor sundering as well, so that'll help a lot with the chaos warriors. Eventually I do get a nice little choke point blocker here. I've got some spears to deal with the trolls. I've got warriors of Ulrich to deal with the infantry. Boris and Emil in there as well, dropping their abilities. My witch hunter I'm hoping is shooting over the top of everything else to shoot the trolls. But the enemy has flanked round on both sides, so I've got to defend both sides. Otherwise, my boys are going to get flanked in that center bit, and then it's going to be game over for them. Luckily, I've got my wolfkin left. I've got my missiles up on the wall, firing down on those lightly armored marauders, so that's going to be perfect for me. The Toddy guard are now up on the wall, taking care of the chaos warriors, protecting the archers so they can do their work. And now we're in a position where it's pretty much just a grind fest. We just got to grind the enemy down now. Boris is okay. He's doing well. He's healthy. Emil's taking a bit of damage. Not too bad, though. I have got some dogs around the back flanking, getting after some of those skirmish calves. And I'm eventually just going to leave them at the back here, waiting for any routing enemy units that they can just munch on to make sure they don't come back. Trolls, preferably. The archers up on the wall have done their job on that left side, routing those units of marauders, so the left side is now safe. Just a little bit on the right side, still some chaos warriors trying to push this right side, but the Toddy guard I'm setting up for a flank, so that should be dealt with shortly. The dogs do get their troll for dinner, lovely. But minor disaster as the enemy has broken through on the right side because they met my Toddy guard up on the wall, so they couldn't get down, and then they broke through our boys that were on the ground. So they've broken through. We're a little bit vulnerable here. But luckily, I do have some archers that have run out of ammo, so I'm going to send them just to block in the way, and then I'm going to shoot them with the archers that are still left on the wall, and thankfully, we tidied that mess up just about. And it's just the center to finish off, but I've flanked around with my left-hand units. They came all the way around, put a big flank on this center, so now they're sandwiched, and their leadership is going down the pan. And with that, we claim our victory and we claim Brass Keep nice and early in the campaign. Got it done by turn 10. Very nice. So now, if I was able to continue this campaign, I'd go after Festus, of course, finish him off. He does have a big army right here, but that doesn't look too crazy. We can probably deal with that one. His main army is all the way over here, though, so that's nice that it's out the way, because that one might be a bit tougher to deal with. I am feeling Midenheim is a little bit vulnerable, though, so I'm going to recruit an extra lord here, a new Seneschal lord, and try and get him any units that I can, because we've only got an 11 garrison here. Don't have any Raws, but we got some state troops. Nice, that'll do. That'll take our garrison up a little bit. I can recruit the Knights Panther now, if there were any turns left. But there we go. That's the end of my Gamescom demo. If you are going to Gamescom yourself, you can play this yourself right there, if you want to wait 19 hours in a queue, of course. But there we go, 10 turns of Boris. I look forward to playing the full campaign without the limitation. I'm going to be playing another new thing that's part of this Gamescom demo, but I can't tell you about that until next week, so keep your beady little eyes peeled for that. And in a couple of weeks, I should be able to show you this DLC in full, and all the factions, and all the different stuff, and all the usual videos that I do when DLC comes along, so also keep your beady little stupid eyes out for that. Otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, check out the YouTube memberships, the Patreon. I will see you in the future.
Fucking Toddy!